Welcome back to Echo Ridge. Today, we're going to knock out 2 more achievements, the first of which is going to be GMO A-OK. All we're waiting for is gas grass, a Dalcia salt vine, a waterweed, and a balm lily. The gas grass, you've seen our setup before. We just have 1 gas grass being flanked by 2 wheezeworts, and so far we haven't had any luck, but it's getting doused with over 800 rads per cycle. It's only a matter of time. The other 3 plants, we have a small setup going, first being the waterweed. We just dropped off 1 bottle of salt water, no big deal, and the waterweeds will take a little bit of bleach stone and some salt water every cycle. Well, we happen to have plenty of bleach stone over here in our liquid chlorine tank, and I wanted to highlight something, that apparently bleach stone has a point where it is too cold to emit. So I'm going to need to warm this place back up just a smidge off the minus 75 that we were at. Not that we need too much bleach stone because the waterweed only requires 500 grams per cycle. Which brings us to our other 2 plants, which is the Dalcia salt vine and the balm lily. The Dalcia salt vine just requires living in a chlorine environment, and it will gobble some of that chlorine and a little bit of sand along the way. But we have 2.5 tons of bleach stone here and another 2.5 tons of bleach stone here, which has helped keeping this area in a nice little chlorine environment. Now right now it's a little too cold for the balm lilies, which by the way don't require anything other than living in a chlorine environment. They don't actually consume the chlorine. To get it a little bit warmer though, we are going to adjust this to say 40 degrees. The waterweed can go from 22 to 65 degrees, the Dalcia salt vine from minus 25 to 50, and the balm lily likes it between 35 and 85. So I'll keep playing with that temperature control until we get it just right for all 3 plants. And then it's just a matter of time waiting for the radiation to do its thing. The next achievement we're going to get is the Great Escape Initiative. All we need to do is open the temple tear and then send a duplicant through it, which is, to be honest, a little easier said than done. You remember from last episode, we landed our wonderful rover here on Chileos. Sitting inside this box is the temple tear opener. Unfortunately, it has to be powered by rad bolts, and a whole lot of them. So we're going to send a team down here to set up some infrastructure to be able to supply the temple tear opener with those rad bolts using the conveniently located Rex satellite, and then we'll build a rocket and send it through the temple tear. Another cool thing is when you open the radiation overlay, you can see where the input of the temple tear opener is, just in case you're ever curious because, well, you can't see it behind here, even though you should be able to recognize that this is the point of interest building that does hold the opener. Otherwise, on the rocket front, we still need to do quite a bit of work for Mind the Gap. So we're about to convert the ESS Larry. The Larry will no longer be an exploration rocket, and instead will just be another cargo rocket. It'll take some changing around, but the interior of the ESS Larry is already perfectly suited for mining missions. Which means all we have to do is keep these rockets loaded with some diamond, which we are doing plenty good job of it here. We have 3 tons sitting on the ground here and a little bit over here. All of our extra rad bolts are going from refined carbon to diamond. And we've had the refined carbon on automatic since very early in the game, so as long as we keep providing it some rad bolts, we're going to keep getting more and more diamond. Inside the ESS Mo, we are gathering all the materials that we're going to need over on Chileos, and this time I'm trying to remember to actually bring everything. We're starting off with 5 tons of igneous rock, 5 tons of copper ore, we've got some plastic coming, we have some reed fiber coming, and I think the best way to provide power down here is going to be using coal, so I'm going to load up with a bunch of coal. Now don't get me wrong, we're going to forget something, but that's a future Echo problem. I also decided to get a little bit creative. Instead of always having to build the Atmos suits there, I just brought 5 extra suits. Put them in this nice storage bin, and now they're just sitting here. Yeah, we have the reed fiber in case we have to repair suits, but I can't imagine us going through 9 suits in the course of opening the temple tear. We also have 22 tons worth of oxalite and about 400,000 calories worth of berry sludge. I need to put the rocket control station back in, and that way the duplicates will stop coming to this refrigerator to get spare berry sludge. Next time I think I'll just remove a ladder bed to load up the materials like this with a pair of storage bins. The ESS Larry has been re-outfitted and it has its 1 ton of diamond inside the drill cone. So we're going to send it out with the Curly for yet another cargo run. Which, by the way, I've had to start upgrading some of these materials. You can see that the heavy watt conductive wire now is made out of thermium underneath the rocket because I got tired of repairing it. The same goes for the insulated pipes where I'm putting down some fresh ceramic. Hopefully that will help a little bit longer than the sedimentary rock did. For our mission to Chileos, we're bringing Whiskey as the pilot, John Archer, Carol once again, and Lady Ruff. Once all 4 of them get in here, I think we'll be good to go. Although I do want to bring a little bit more berry sludge, so what I'm going to do is put this thing on sweep only, uncheck the berry sludge, so it dumps it out on the floor, and then we'll check it again, and then go sweep up a little bit more. Now we have 800,000 calories worth of berry sludge in the rocket, which will give our dupes 200 cycles to get the job done. It better not take that long. Don't worry, duplicants, you're gonna love it over there. It's a nice summer vacation, I promise. Why is it called Chileos? Oh, don't worry about that. Enjoy the trip, try not to get too much radiation poisoning. Ta-ta! We have a minor problem with Angry Forest here. Once again, the interior of the rocket controls were a little bugged. I had to toggle the uncontrolled button to make sure that the rocket control station took it off of grounded. That way Angry Forest could eat. They were starving inside the rocket even though there was food sitting inside the refrigerator. Our intrepid heroes have arrived in the orbit of Chileos, so you know the drill. Inside the Trailblazer module, Carol goes, and then we click the deploy button. Now I already know that we're probably going to set the rocket platform up over here, but Rover's module is right there, so it just sort of makes sense to drop the Trailblazer module right next to it. And you can almost hear Carol muttering under their breath, saying, "Oh no, not again." It makes me wonder how much damage is this rocket going to be able to do, considering most of this area is all ice. I mean, they don't call it Chileos for nothing, but it is very cold, but very melty. Somehow, Carol already has minor radiation sickness, even though the radiation here really isn't too bad at only 250 rads per cycle. Now, we do have some igneous rock and stuff in here that Rover was good enough to dig out. We also have a bunch of granite right here we could also just grab, but we are going to have to break back in if Carol ever wants to get to work. Look, I know it's nap time, but you really don't want to sleep there. Oh boy. Let the record show that there was warning signs that said, "Do not sleep under the rocket exhaust." Alright, to be fair, Carol has felt better before in their life, but they're going to be fine. They'll be able to sleep it off, and everything's going to be a-okay. Without too much fuss, we have our manual generator going in. We lowered our battery once again. We'll have to get access to that little tile right there, so we'll put a quick ladder here. We're also making sure that we protect the area from the radiation. I might as well put even a couple more blocks there. And now it's time to dig through here and submit our bioscan to reveal the temporal tear opener. Oh look, there's some snacks too. I told you guys this was going to be a great vacation. Step 1, we have to dig out the temporal tear opener, and you'll also notice that it says that its line of sight is obstructed. There is some window tiles here, which works just fine, but unfortunately you have to remove everything here as well. And as I'm sure you can imagine, the duplicants are going to complain about the radiation if we go in from the top, so we're going to go in from the bottom. I'm also keeping a close eye on Carol. They're already at 88% stress due to that radiation sickness and, some minor vomiting. In fact, before it goes up any higher, I think I'm going to go ahead and put a massage clinic right in here. I mean, what feels better than a sensual massage while you're sitting in the vacuum of space? Now, as we previously talked about, we have to inject a lot of rad bolts inside of the temporal tear opener. Luckily, this planetoid came with a few crashed satellites. We have around 1,300 rads over here. We also have a decent amount of rads over here, so it's not a big deal where we come from. I kind of like this area because it's closer to our rocket, which means the duplicants won't have to come as far to do their business. See? It's just like a trip to the Bahamas. Nice little day spa, beautiful view, nothing to be concerned about. Now I have the coal generators in, and they're connected to a smart battery. I have the battery set on 9060 as standard. Unfortunately, even though I even mentioned it to all of you and to myself not to leave the planetoid without coal, we left the planetoid without coal. So we're just gonna watch some over there. It's not a big deal. There's almost nowhere that we can't get to on Chileos, so we'll have those payloads opened and the coal generators filled before we even finish putting in our rad bolt system, which is gonna look something like this. Now I'm just building these out of granite because I don't think it's gonna matter much, because again, it is very, very cold in here. We're gonna have 4 rad bolt generators all pointing towards this one rad bolt reflector, which is going to go into this rad bolt reflector, which is going to be angled right towards the temporal tear. And as you can see, all the rad bolt generators are pointing right at the rad bolt reflector, all angling in. Look at that, our first delivery. How convenient. And for convenience, we're even going to put in a nice little auto sweeper. That way the duplicants don't have to come down here to refill the coal generators all the time, and they can enjoy their vacation. Now you might look at this situation and say, Echo, this is only 600 watts. All 4 of these rad bolt generators are going to require more than 1800 watts. Do not fear, we're just going to put in a little power plant. Lady Ruff is an electrical engineer, so they'll be able to take care of all the generator tuning. Carol is too, for that matter. With all the tiles dug out, you can see that the temporal tear opener now has a charging progress indicator instead of a line of sight blocked notification. It also looks like it has little hands. And with the power control station installed, you can see now each coal generator is going to generate 900 watts for a total of 2700, which is going to be plenty to run our rad bolt generators. So away we go. Now this is still going to take a little while. You can see that this rad bolt generator is collecting 105 rad bolts per cycle, this one 95, 81, and 68. I think I'm going to try to do a little bit better by moving this rad bolt generator down here. You can't build anything here because it's considered inside the satellite's build area, but this area right there doesn't look bad at all. One cute little trick I've made to make sure that the manual generator stops overheating is I put a couple of tiles in here connected to the environment, or in other words, connected to some of these minus 40-degree ice tiles. And then I just put a conduction panel behind it. So now, with the conduction panel connecting the manual generator and the tiles beneath it, we don't have to worry about repairing or rebuilding the manual generator. The temporal tear opener is at 1% charged. And I know you see the little message there that says it's storing 0 of 1000 rad bolts. Yeah, that's not how much it needs to actually charge. It needs a total of 10,000 rad bolts. The reason why the storing message is there is because as rad bolts come in, it can only eat so many rad bolts per second. It comes out to be around 5 rad bolts per second, so you can't just give it 10,000 rad bolts. It has to be somewhat over the course of a little bit of time. When it rains, it pours. Our cargo rockets came back and promptly destroyed even more heavy watt conductive wire. I don't know how it's gotten to that point, but it's actually melting steel at 2400 degrees, so we're gonna put some more thermium in its way. And since I didn't notice that the power was off, this thermal aqua tuner wasn't running for quite some time. So all of the wonderful liquid hydrogen we had flashed. We now have 388 kilos worth of gas inside of each tile of this tank. So we won't be making another rocket trip for a little while until all of that gas condenses once again. And apparently my calculations on coal were way off. We are already out of coal and we're only 13% charged. That means these coal generators went through 10 tons of coal in a matter of a half dozen cycles. Well, back to FedEx we go. This time we're going to load up 20 tons. And we also have some available space in here, so I'm going to go ahead and add a wheel. It's not going to make a big difference, but the more dupes we have running, the less coal they're going to end up using. I mean, everybody likes to use the gym when they're on vacation, right? It actually takes a little bit of time to click on each payload and open it. So I think we're going to add on to our little spaceport system here by adding a payload opener. This will make it much more convenient. The duplicants will automatically just go get the interplanetary payloads and drop them off in here. Then we'll put a little conveyor rail and a conveyor chute, and that way all the coal just automatically comes out and then they'll go fill it. The spare suits came in handy. You can see that we've already gone through 5 worn Atmos suits. So now it is time to put in this exosuit forge and start churning through some of that reed fiber. Yes, this system is a lot more convenient. And the coal just sort of appears and the duplicants grab the coal and go drop it off. But unfortunately, it is more power intensive. So we're adding another wheel here. And that way we can try to keep this battery on the rocket more charged as well. It'd be really great if these solar panel modules on top of the rockets weren't absolutely worthless. I mean, the most they can provide is 60 watts. What are you going to do with 60 watts? We have a small backstock worth of coal, so I think we are good to turn this whole system back on again. And I'm considering putting the manual generators on their own battery. For one, I'm starting to get circuit overloads here, just because the addition of the auto sweeper actually brings it over the 2000 watts. But two, that way when the dupes aren't doing anything else, they'll know to come down here and run, regardless of the condition of this battery. I suppose I can also put the manual generators on 100%. That should queue them up to go run no matter what, as soon as they're done dropping off all the interplanetary payloads at least, and running on these wheels. Isn't vacation great, dupes? Our little system is working out pretty well right now. The dupes, when they're not on the beach suntanning, they're down here running in the gym, so we're not using as much coal. We're 20% charged now, so as long as I keep a ridiculous amount of coal being sent through the interplanetary launcher, we'll be doing just fine. In somewhat of other good news, we completed the waterweed seed. We got one called Super Specialized, plus 100% to the yield. The viable temperature range is down by 80%, but that's pretty cool that it produces twice as much lettuce. Just 3 more to go. Everything is growing well, the temperatures are looking good. It's just a matter of getting those seeds. So the beginning of the end has started to happen. We ran out of rad pills. So as you can see, everybody's looking a little squeamish, and their stress is starting to go up, and if I don't keep everything mopped up, they're gonna get soggy feet, and they don't like that either. Yeah, just let it all out, Whiskey. Not to fear, because in one of the next shipments, we have another 100 rad pills coming. I just have to wait for that specific shipment to make it. Never mind, it's still sitting back on the home planetoid. One thing I'd like to see with the interplanetary launcher is being able to prioritize what it's shipping next. For some reason, coal is just prioritized before basic rad pills, so it's not willing to send them. And then when we finally finish sending all the coal, I don't have enough to make a single shipment unless I just cleared it and then sent it. So it might be a first come, first serve sort of thing. I'm not 100% sure. We also have another problem because, of course, when it rains, it pours. There's once again 30 kilos worth of oxygen in here. And I'm not exactly sure how that happened, because the oxalite stays up there. Either way, that means bad things for the duplicants. I'm going to try to set up a little massage room right in here. Hopefully it'll help. I doubt it will. But the next shipment of rad pills has arrived. So hopefully that combined with some massage tables will quell all the stress. Right now, Whiskey's at 95%, because of course they are. And they are a binge eater, so chances are they're eating all of the colony's foods. No worries, no big deal. Just keep eating, Whiskey. So here's the plan. You two stay on the massage tables while we run, and then we'll switch. We're at 51% charged, so based on the math of how many rad bolts we're getting per cycle, it looks like we're going to need about another 15 or 16 cycles. But if they don't start loading in some of this coal into the payload opener, we're not going to get to 15 or 16 cycles. The situation's getting slightly better. The radiation sickness is going away. We're down to 11 kilos worth of oxygen pressure in the cabin. The more we use these suits, the more the gas pump's going to take the oxygen in the room and fill the suits, and eventually get rid of all the popped eardrums that for some reason are like the worst thing you could ever get in the game. Plus 20% stress per cycle. I've upgraded our massage tables to make sure that they are a massage clinic. That way it's a little bit more effective when they do get a massage. And what's great is the sculpting block, even though it's incomplete artwork, apparently still counts as a decor item. We are now back to normal and standard oxygen pressure at around 1800 kilos. And I see where it happened. The oxalite was sitting here when somebody vomited. We have oxalite in this position and this position. So I need to make sure I move this to the top, and that way, just in case somebody else decides to radiation vomit, it's not going to make the oxalite start off-gassing like nuts again. Stress is still an issue, but it should start going down now. You know, should. And for those keeping track, we're at 58% charge status. Yay for us. We did finish another seed though. The Dash Assault Vine analysis is complete. This one was wildish. Plus 350% life cycle, minus 90% fertilizer usage. Wild-ish. No more salt vines? Only 2 left. The balm lilies and the gas grass. Things are doing so well over here, it might as well be a vacation. Stress is down to an all-time low at 46%, and our wonderful Temporal Terra opener is at an all-time high at 77%. I did realize that I was giving the duplicants a little extra radiation because they were running right in front of this crashed satellite. So we're adding some plastic tiles here to mitigate that. Look, every vacation has trials and tribulations. This one's no different. At last, the balm lily is now complete. We can get rid of those and stop using just about everything up here. The balm lily came out as bountiful. Harvest duration plus 400%, yield amount plus 100%, but it requires a little bit more light and fertilizer. All we have left now is the gas grass, which between two Wheezeworts shouldn't be too bad considering that piece of gas grass is getting 819 rads per cycle, which is not too big of a difference from what the plants were getting around here. The water weeds were only getting 700. Yeah, the Dacia salt vines were getting a little bit more, but the balm lilies were only getting half that. So, on we wait. Speaking of waiting, we are very, very close now. We're at 88% charge status on the temporal tear opener. Stress is doing wonderful. The vacation's really paying off, keeping the duplicants stress-free. Oh, happy day. The button is now triggered where we can click fire. Now, here's what's going to happen. We're going to click fire. It's going to shoot a giant laser beam into the sky, and then because, of course, all sorts of meteors are going to come crashing down on this planetoid. This is not a big deal. Our dupes are going to be fine. But the good news is we can stop shooting rad bolts into this. So I'm going to turn off the rad bolt generators, easy peasy. Are you sure you want to fire this? Yes, I'm ready for a meteor shower. And there we go. Isn't it glorious? And just like that, the temporal tear is open. But now the duplicants need to watch out a little bit because it's getting ugly outside. So what I'm going to do is deconstruct the first few buildings here and then just take off. And the only reason I'm doing that is so when the rocket does take off and starts melting everything, I can limit the amount of damage overheated messages we're getting. Just like last time, except this time we're taking some more precautions. With everybody crewed up, look at this, we still had 10 rad pills left too. I mean, that was plenty of time. Change our destination to get back home, to Tuxedo, and away we go. Well, that was a fun adventure, wasn't it? I really do hope the duplicants enjoyed their vacation. All right, Echo, that's all great that the duplicants are going to get to go home, but what about our temporal tear? Well, let me introduce you to the Virgo 3. It's the default name because I'm not feeling creative, which sounds really bad considering I'm a content creator. But anyways, the Virgo 3 is outfitted with the best in today's duplicant technologies. It has a bathroom, a cot, a little bit of oxalite, and about 5 days worth of food. I mean, I'll be honest, they're lucky they got a bathroom to begin with. The question is, who are we gonna send? I think the honor of this trip is gonna go to Nazgul. I want to use a decent pilot, that way we can get to the temporal tear as quickly as possible. And Naz deserves a vacation, and I'm sure that's what happens when you go through the swirling light vortex in the middle of space. Now, I have managed to get the hydrogen back online, but in order to conserve hydrogen, I figured we might as well use the Radbolt engine. It has a range of 18 tiles, and considering this is a one-way trip, that's plenty. With Naz loaded up, let's go ahead and unequip the suit. Welcome home, buddy. We'll change the destination right over here. We don't even have to wait until it's fully fueled because, like I said, we already had a range of 18 tiles. Now we have a range of 19 tiles. So we could actually make it a round trip. But I don't think that's what's going to happen when we hit the temporal tear. Acknowledge the warnings and begin the launch. Bye, Naz! Yeah, this is what happens when a meteor outruns the meteor blaster. And apparently the duplicants are still getting around to repairing it because we still have another 5 tons of obsidian. Meanwhile, on Chileos, it's still coming down. And these are big meteors too. It's only a matter of time before these meteors tear this whole place up. Now all we have to do is wait for Naz to make the trip. Naz is nearing the entrance to the temporal tear. Here's another one of those classic spoiler warnings. If you've never seen the movie and don't want to be spoiled about what happens when the little rocket goes through the temporal tear, now's your time to fast forward. Spoiler warning. All we do next is click enter the temporal tear. Very climactic, isn't it? Imperative achieved the great escape. I don't know where he escaped to, but alright. Once again, it highlights all of our colonies. And now we get our wonderful little movie. What I like about this message at the end is it says I have sent enough duplicants through the temporal tear to start another colony. So maybe that's a thing. Maybe that's where Oxygen Not Included 2 starts. I don't know. Either way, we're wishing Naz the best. And with that, we have all 3 of our initiatives done, and we're only left with 4 more achievements. GMO A-OK, we only have 1 more seed. Mind the Gap, we're still 700,000 kilos away. And then Easy Living and Job Suitability, which I have a plan for. But you're going to have to wait for another episode for it. Let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments below, or if you have any good theories about what happens when you go through the temporal tear. Until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.